Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our fourth day of the Talent Search Summer Robotics Academy. Remember, we have two different platforms we're using today. We're using Zoom and we're using YouTube. So if you're having trouble logging on to Zoom, no need to panic at all. You can join us by following the link that you're going to see on our agenda momentarily. So it's the YouTube live stream of our Robotics Academy, and it's listed on day 4 of our agenda, and your agenda will be put up shortly. You must also look in the chat box. You may also look in the chat box in just a few minutes, and I believe Mrs. Gonzalez may also type that in the chat box for you, as she did yesterday. So thank you for watching our live stream yesterday on YouTube. And we want to thank you as participants, and we want to thank our guests and our parents who have also watched us. This has been a really incredible 4 days. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the gray box on the lower right-hand corner of the screen with the word subscribe inside. There's no cost to this feature, and you'll be one of our charter members of the Talent Search UHD YouTube channel. Now, before I continue, I want to move on because we have a special guest today, but I do want you to know that we will be giving you the results of our social media interactions shortly after we have our guest speaker. So I wanted to personally also thank the students and the parents who personally emailed me again yesterday and Tuesday about opening remarks, our opening remarks session on the energy and control on Tuesday, and Wednesday's question and answer by the expert panels about almost everything you wanted to know about your first year college experience. So we hope continue to give us your feedback. That's how we improve our programming for you. Whether it's good or bad, we enjoy it, we read it, we listen to it, and we try to modify what we can. So today, our opening remarks are going to be a mirror of yesterday. We had such a great response yesterday to the Ask Your Expert panel question and answer session. And I know that there was a lot of great information given to you just by the comments that I received on my personal email and through the chat box. So today we're going to continue, as backed by popular demand, almost everything I need to know about my first year college experience. And so when I was thinking about what to talk about today in that first year college experience, I had a conversation and a phone call and a text with my niece, who is 19 years old. Her name is Clarice Bosman. Clarice, are you there?
Hello, hi guys.
Hello, Clarice. Clarice is, let me introduce you to her. She is 19 years old. She lives in Denver, Colorado. She's attending Colorado University in Boulder. She just completed her first year at Colorado University and is a beginning sophomore year. And she is also a first generation college student, which means neither one of her parents have a 4-year or baccalaureate degree. So we want to welcome you, Clarice, and we want to thank you for spending time with us today. I want to go ahead and explain to you and to our listeners our format that we have. We have about 20 high school students and some parents and guests that are logged on to Zoom and logged on to our streaming live YouTube channel. They'll be asking questions about your experience as a first year college student. And I want you to just tell them the truth. I want you to be real about it. I want you to just tell them from your heart some things that you learned or not learned. So I'd like to begin by asking you a few questions and asking you to just tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your major at Colorado University and why you chose that major. It's all yours for now, and then
Okay.
I'll ask you a few more questions. And then students, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat box that you have a question, and we'll put you on live as well. You're on.
So hi, I'm Clarice Bosman, and I go to CU Boulder here in Colorado. And right now I am doing a degree I'm getting my bachelor's in bassoon performance and music education, and so that is a big instrument that I play in orchestras. And I'm also getting my teaching license so I can be a music teacher and a band director right now. And there's a lot of different things that go into that, such as making my own reeds, practicing instruments all day. I have to learn every instrument so that I know how to teach it accordingly to students, and a lot of leadership work around that. Other than that, I'm in a few other extracurriculars. I'm in the Kappa Kappa Psi, which is the band service fraternity, and we help the band program out and do lots of fundraisers for them. And it's great to be a first gen student and to meet all of you guys.
Awesome. Thank you for that information. Tell us a little bit about what you chose. Why did you choose Colorado University?
I chose Colorado University because of their academics and how well it stacks up compared to the rest of the in-state colleges because of their ratings, which is stacked way higher than the rest of them. But what I found what is important is professors, because in my area of study, it really depends on who your professor is and how you get along with them, because that is who is going to guide you through your college experience here. As my main instrument for bassoon, he gives me every piece of knowledge I need to know. He gives me different styles and different perspectives. And so to be able to click with my professor really made a difference with me on attending CU Boulder.
That's a great tip, Clarice. Tell me, how did you find out this information?
I found out this information by my junior year. I emailed most of the bassoon professors in the state here, and I just asked them if I could meet with them and have a trial lesson and try to get to know them a little bit before I auditioned for schools here or applied.
Wow. So what I'm hearing is you started way back in your junior year in high school.
Yes, looking for the perfect college professor. Also, it helps to find people who are in that major and see what they have to say about the school or about the program compared to what others say about other colleges. That will be really helpful to get firsthand insight also.
So being a first generation college student, how did you know to do this?
How did I know to do this? That's an interesting question. I would say that through my teachers at my old school gave me a very definite answer of where to go to, but it's not as simple as that. What I did is I actually went through all the colleges in the state and I went onto the faculty website under, say, if you wanted to go into business, then I would go into the business school, the branch of that university, and then I would look at the faculty list and see who the professors and um, teachers are there, and just see if they have any contact information, gather an email, and just write an email and say, "Hi, I'm a prospective student, and I would love to sit down and chat with you, maybe have a Zoom call, and just see what your program is like."
Wow, that's a good tip. Really is a good tip. So, just a few more questions. And, guys, if you have any questions for Clarice, please put your name in the chat box so that I know you have a specific question for her. You're giving us some really good tips. I appreciate that. Let me ask you another question that seems to be a barrier for our students and sometimes even their parents, and that is completing the FAFSA and meeting the deadlines. Tell me your experiences that you had with that, good or bad.
The FAFSA was a little bit difficult, especially my first year not knowing what to do. Now, you do have to fill this out every year that you do attend college, and it doesn't just renew. You have to keep putting in your own tax information and your parents' tax information. But the due dates, you have to pay very close attention to them. So I like the FAFSA.gov website, their official website, and that should tell you when it opens, usually about October. And just to be very clear on the deadlines on that website is one thing, but it is on a first come, first serve basis for the aid money. So if you do complete it a little bit later, they might have run out of enough funds for that. So it is good to get it done as soon as possible for the best amount of money you can receive. That is very helpful. And what was difficult was getting your parents to also do their part of the tax information on the FAFSA. So that was very difficult for me. Actually, this year, the IRS wouldn't link because there is a section where you can link the IRS tax forms from your parents. Just log in with their IRS number and it will link, but it did not work because of COVID. This has become crashed down, and I've had this happen to a bunch of other people and my friends that have had this issue. And so I had to go to my parents' tax lady and say, hey, and print out every page of the FAFSA, 26 pages long, I believe, and ask how much did they make here? How much did this happen? And just to write down everything on paper and manually enter it into the FAFSA site. So COVID did do that. That was that was rough. That was a big barrier, and it let down my spirit. I was really going great until I hit that little bump in the road, and just knowing that if I don't get this done on time, it was so stressful to get that done on time. But it does get better.
So that was a barrier for you, obviously, not just for you, but probably many, many other students out there had the same experience that you did. So, what helped you get through that experience?
What helped me get through that experience specifically was honestly my parents' tax lady being so cooperative and being there for me, knowing that I could text her if I have any questions about their financial help, but also going onto your school's website, say your college's website, and going to their financial aid office. They usually have a number, and you can call them, see when they're open on their website, and they will walk you through this too. They are always there to help, but just knowing that you can go there for financial aid help is so crucial.
So, would you say, Clarice, that one of the barriers about being a first year college student is not only not knowing the right questions to ask, but who to ask those questions to?
Yes,
And how do you
there are
navigate
many
that?
different places to go. So, mainly the money and scholarship and how you're going to pay for college, that will all go to the finance section and to, say, Scholarship Office of Financial Aid. You can find it on their website and their numbers. And if you have any questions about scheduling classes, you can go to the registrar, or usually you will receive an email before you go to college and you officially enroll, asking you to pick your classes and giving you your dean. Now, this was difficult because I didn't know who my dean was and who to register with, as it's all alphabetical. So, going onto the University of Colorado website and really double checking who my last name lined up with alphabetically, who was my dean, to get me enrolled in my classes, and to reach out to her, Victoria Ibarra, was difficult, just going through to their website and checking every single page really, and seeing what applies to where I need to go, what calls I need to make, and who to ask really.
Sounds like you had to spend a lot of extra hours and a lot of extra time doing your research. Did you?
Yes,
Okay.
it's important to do your own research.
And
It's Nothing is handed to you here in college. It's all what you do on your own, and if you want help on, or you need help, say scheduling, you need to find where to get that help, the number, and ask them all on your own terms.
how did you learn all that?
Honestly, I just went on the website and looked around, scoured every single website on universityofcolorado.com.
And I know from the past experience we've had together that University of Colorado was not the only university that you looked at. You looked at others, and you looked at others out of state as well. And so that must have been difficult and added to the stress of just finishing high school.
That did, because what's different there is if you are going out of state, if you're moving, that's a lot of stuff you have to take with and cost that you don't think about. Say flying out there, flying your parents out there, flying back, shipping your stuff back. I luckily I stayed in state, but that is just something you also need to think about. Transportation cost, if you need a car there, a parking pass, and Also, scholarships can depend on it, say in-state versus out-of-state tuition, because say I'm a Colorado native and I go to a Colorado school, I'm going to be paying in-state tuition, which is significantly cheaper than if someone from Texas were to come to Colorado and have out-of-state tuition. So to account for that also in planning for college, for
Now, I know
in-state versus out-of-state.
you also looked at the University of Texas here in Austin. So
Yes, I
that's
did.
how you know all this information because you had to look at out-of-state tuition and all of that, as well as the program. Is that correct?
Hmm.
Let's talk about something else. I know that Clarice, her first year of school, we sat down and we spent many, many, many hours um, scouring her scholarship awards, looking at the fine print, her me asking her a bunch of questions regarding does she understand what this scholarship means? Does she understand what the Pell Grant does she understand what she can spend her money on? And those questions still come up today. So tell us a little bit about when you received some of your scholarships. What process did you use to find those scholarships? And number two, how did you understand them? I know we had personal conversations, but what tips could you give the students out there if they get a scholarship, let's say for making straight A's in high school, or let's say they're a first gen student? I think you got a first gen scholarship. You want to talk about your scholarships a little?
Yes, so for being a first gen, I reached out to the Center for Inclusion and Social Change at CU Boulder here, and they have a great first generation scholarship award. And that was just on their website. I know on a bunch of different colleges that there is a website for scholarships specifically. And so I went onto the scholarship website for official for CU Boulder and looked into all of the categories. Now, to find the first generation scholarship, it just gave a little listing as of the requirements. You need to be a first gen student, this, that, and this is what you have to do. So I just wrote an essay about my experience as a first gen student and what I would like to do with my major and how this would impact my family. And I wrote my essay, and then I heard back roughly a few months later. It took them months to get back to me, and it was in a PDF document asking me to sign and accept or decline the aid of the scholarship. So you can decline the scholarship or you can accept it, but it will ask you via DocuSign for CU Boulder at least to sign digitally into this scholarship, agreeing to the terms. And there are specific terms, say I have to keep above a 3.0 GPA, and it will tell you in this document if it renews, when it renews, if it's only good for a year, if it's good for 4 years, how often does it get into your bank account or your student tuition, how much it gets applied and how often it gets applied. So most of the time it will get applied half of the fall, half of the money will be applied in the fall and half of the money in the spring. So you can find that information in that PDF and when it's applied. And I have the Buff portal at least here that tells me a list of my scholarships, so it's easier to keep track of when, what scholarship, when it renews, but to find those details and find very carefully. Because if it's a 1 year scholarship, but you think it's a 4 year, it will not last. For those 4 years, it's only the first year that it will be benefiting you. So just to pay attention to those details
And I
and
remember
to
when you
see what majors really it applies to. See, I also got one for playing bassoon for my instrument, so that was given to me from my professor directly, but there was another PDF that was emailed to me. And let's see, I auditioned the 2nd of February 2020, and scholarship offers came in the 1st of April, I believe, with that.
so I'm hearing
April Fools is usually when the scholarships come in around
there's a
here.
lot of information that goes into this, and there's a lot of processes that you're using to keep track of this. Um, what do you say to the kids out here that, you know, I know you said, or I heard you say that you took your scholarships and you let your mom and dad look at them first, probably, correct?
Mhm.
And I'm sure there were things that they didn't understand, correct?
No,
And
yeah,
so,
we did
so
not
who do you reach out to
understand.
then? I mean, not everybody's going to have an Uncle Brian who was, a school principal and, working at a university and has a doctorate degree. So what would you tell, um, your friends or the participants here at this academy? Who do they reach out to? Who can they reach out to?
Definitely the Office of Financial Aid. That's what helped me the most with scholarships because that was one thing that I was confused about. I didn't know if the difference between grants and scholarships, and I still didn't know until last night when I called you and I asked you and I said, "What can I spend my scholarship on versus my grant money?" Now the scholarships I learned are more tight with what you can spend your money on, and it strictly goes, say, to tuition and books, things like that. But the grant money can be used for other things, so I'm going to be using it for housing next semester. So I didn't know the difference between the grants versus the scholarships, how you can use them, and I didn't know if they stacked up on top of each other or if they were the same thing. Say if you got 10,000 scholarship and 5,000 grant money, does that go together to make 15 or is that still just 10,000? But the truth is, it is 15,000 that goes towards because it you do get the 10,000 from the scholarship and then the 5,000 from the say the Pell Grant, and it does stack on top of each other. But just the little things like that I didn't know, and I had to ask the registrar's office to send me a full-on chart on my email on how that stacks up.
Because you can find yourself in some trouble, can't you, if you don't do your research and know
Yes.
how to spend that money because there are allowable costs or there are allowable expenditures and unallowable expenditures. And I think that's what you phoned me last night for. So this whole interview today was very random, guys, and it just fell in our lap that she was calling me about these questions. You mentioned something about dorms, your housing. Now, housing is a really, that's a pretty expensive part of your college experience. Tell us a little bit about your experience. Number one, finding a dorm. Number two, why aren't you living in an apartment when you're a freshman? Things of that nature.
Okay. So, first year at CU Boulder and most colleges, you are only allowed to stay in a dorm room, and that can be expensive. They required me at least to have a meal pass, which cost extra money. And so we had to have the cafeteria 3 meals a day and have to pay for that. But unless there are some ways to get out of being in a dorm, but you really have to go on the housing and dining tab of the CU Boulder, say for me, university website under the housing section and really pay attention to those details. Say if you live within a 15-mile radius of the school, then you don't have to be on in a dorm for your first freshman year. But until then, if you don't accept any of those rules, then you have to stay in a dorm for your first year. And that was different for me, and finding it was a little bit hard for me because the music students say we just auditioned February 2nd. We didn't even know if we would get into the school until about March, while most people had already been accepted in as early as January and were looking at places to stay for the dorms. So it was very limited. And they categorize you in your dorms, say this major, they all have a place together, a special dorm for your own major. So you can find like minded students and, most importantly, even have a living and learning community. They call it so that you can have some classes in your dorms, even. I think it's an extra fee, about $600 while you're there a semester, but you can take classes with fellow majors in your own dorm, and that's something to look into also and to find friends there. Am I muted?
No,
I
no,
can't
no.
hear you.
I'm
There you
sorry. I'm having technical difficulties on my part, and I lost what you said, but that's okay. I'm sure that. Do we have any questions in the chat box? Um, I appreciate you being honest and real with the kids and the students here. Um, so that dorm process was pretty intense. I know when I had a dorm and I lived with other guys, I had a really some difficulty living with other people, especially coming from different backgrounds, because you don't know who you're going to be assigned as a roommate.
Mhm.
It's a gamble, and so tell us a little bit about what skills you might need or to be to have somebody that you're living with in such close proximity. Did I miss that? Did you already mention that?
No, I haven't mentioned that. It was different for me because I am an only child to live with someone in 100 square feet, two beds, one room, just two desks and two beds. That was all that was in our room, and communal bathrooms. Now, I was not used to big communal bathrooms such as that. Say if you're going to a park and camping or something, they have those big showers lined up. That's something that was in my dorm. And I personally would take showers. I'd take it out of my day, 1 in the morning, so that no one was there. I didn't have to encounter anyone. But I would have never thought about that going into college, that wow, I would need to change my showering time to 1 in the morning so that I like to keep to myself and don't have to see other people in the bathroom with me. And to account for big rushes in that, and say you might not be able to go to the bathroom at a certain time because it is a public shared restroom. I lived on a co-ed floor. That's also something to check into, is if your floors or housing is co-ed, if there are both genders in it or just one gender, and bathroom situations like that, it's always good to check out and know what dorm you're getting into and if it's all accepting or just female, just male, or say non-binary, this, that. But that's something also to check into that I didn't take into account for. I was just happy that it was co-ed because some might be blocked off and be only female or only male to get into.
So let me
But
ask you
I would
this.
say,
Let me ask you this,
yes.
Clarice. So when you first got your dorm room, what you had to prepare for that. I mean, it doesn't come fully furnished in terms of
No.
bedding and things. So what can you share about those extra costs that you had no idea would occur?
Yes, the extra cost, that was a lot. Just small things like coat hangers for the closet and a twin extra large mattress, or they have the mattress, but sheets for that, pillowcases, if you want a lamp at your desk, and just small things like that also add up and should be taken account for.
Even what about your electronics and I mean,
Mhm.
how many plugs did you have in your room? I mean,
Electronics,
just simple things like
you
that.
will need extension cords. Yes, definitely. There are not enough outlets, especially to be sharing with two people. If you want to charge, say, your laptop and run your desk lamp at the same time, and you can't do it, you need the extension cords and the extenders.
One more question for you, and then I'm going to let the students start asking you. This is they're the stars, and you're the star today. So let me ask you this: what if you don't get along with your roommate? What options do you have?
I had a friend that that had happened to, and you can request a room change. Now, usually for housing, they have RAs, they call them, and they are kind of monitors on your floor, people you can go to and talk to if you're having any issues whatsoever with, say, your room or your roommate, and they will help you with that. And they provided, say, my friend who did not get along with her roommate, options to go with another roommate or to move into another room with someone else.
Thank you. You've given some really good advice. I taught you well. Taught you well. So we're going to go move it over to the students now to see what questions they have. Mr. Velo, can you read those because I'm old and I'm blind.
Sure. We haven't gotten any yet.
Okay. Does anybody want to ask a question to Miss Bosman before we have her leave? She has other things to take care of and other appointments. Any last questions? They weren't this shy yesterday, but that's
Okay.
okay. So, gentlemen, do you have anything last questions for Miss Bosman, Clarice?
Yeah.
No? Well, Clarice, you did a great job today, and I know that the students listened and hung on to every single word you said because you gave some really important information, not only about your scholarships, but about choosing colleges and paying attention. And you obviously did your homework, and you obviously spent a lot of time researching. So, the message that you want to give to the students here, your final thoughts. If you
My
could go
final
back and
thought,
do it all over
do your
again,
own research. Good scholars take their time to do their own research and really look into every single detail and make opinions for themselves and find out what is the truth.
and so this is not going to happen overnight. Nobody's going to hold your hand.
No, no one will hold your hand in the college
You're
experience.
considered an adult now. And your destiny is in your own hands. Any closing remarks? Anything you want to say to the students about being here today?
Yes, thank you for having me. It's so much fun, and it's great to see fellow first gen people. And I'm sure whatever, if you choose to college, I'm proud of you. Either way, it's great to meet other people like me
Thank you
and to
so
see
much.
people who are just as enthusiastic.
And it's kind of cool to be able to have you here, and you're in Denver. So I'm sure it's much cooler there than it is here. Thank you so much. We appreciate the time you've given us. This is recorded, and we'll chat later about that, okay?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Flores, for having
Thank
me.
you. Bye.
Thank you for the
Bye.
Okay, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that little segment. Yeah, I'm sure you caught on. Clarissa is my niece. I did not coach her on any of that, but I will tell you, we spent a lot of time on the phone together because she was terrified about going to school. She was terrified about moving out of her mother's house. She was in her father's house. She was terrified about everything there was, and she had no clue whatsoever because she, much like me, and much like you will be, there was nobody in our family to support us and guide us or even give us any advice. And so this is our mission, guys. This is why we're here. We're here to support you. We're here to answer those questions to the best ability we can. We're not the experts, all-in experts on this, but we do have experience, and we do have the information and the knowledge. And if we don't know the answer, we're going to tell you we don't know the answer, and we'll find that answer for you. Because I was proud of Clarice for saying something that I always would tell her. If you want to be a good scholar and a critical thinker, you have to do your own research and you have to form your own opinions. And you can't rely on others to tell you what they think is the truth. So I was so glad to hear her say that. It finally sunk in, I suppose. So let's move on. If you think of any questions that you want to ask Clarice later, just put them in the chat box and I will send them to her, and hopefully she'll come back and talk to you. So let's move on to just some housekeeping rules, and that's going to be for tomorrow. Tomorrow is our last day of the Robotics Academy, and today we're going to finish your gathering of your MBOT Ranger. You're going to code, you're going to motion code and sound code today with Mr. Acosta and Mr. Gilo. But before we get there, I want to let you know about the virtual pizza celebration tomorrow. So if any of you have any questions regarding that, please put it in the chat box. I will tell you that if you look at the agenda, we have changed the delivery time, and I did mention that to you yesterday. The delivery time is now from 12:45 to 1:15. Newsflash, 12:45 to 1:15. Remember, the pizzas are being ordered as we speak. Oh, excuse me, will be ordered right after I leave this production. So if there is anything, let's say something changed, you're going to be with grandma tomorrow, you're going to be next door tomorrow, or whatever changed from what you originally submitted, it's critical that you phone or email or text or chat with Mrs. Gonzalez so that she can make sure that that food gets to you. We're only going to have about, you're going to have about a 30-minute window to have that delivered. If you do not have it delivered by 1:15, in your chat box, please send Mrs. Gonzalez a direct chat so that she can check on that for you and make sure that you get it. Don't worry about it. You will have something there. It may not be at 12:45, it may not be at 1 or 1:15, but you will have something. I guarantee you there will be some pizzas that will be late. It's just the nature of the business. So, but you have to let us know that because they have been paid for. Another thing, if for some reason you are not going to be able to attend tomorrow's session, you must please let me know so that we know not to expect you in the showcase and we know not to order you a pizza for tomorrow as well. So let us know. I'm assuming if I don't hear anything from anybody when I leave this production and Mr. Acosta and Mr. Gilo take over, that everybody will be present tomorrow. So remember, do not pay for the pizza. The pizza has been paid for, and do not tip the driver unless, of course, you want to be generous and tip them. But the tip has been included already in the delivery of the pizza. So I hope you enjoy it. Tomorrow, we'll have 30 minutes only to enjoy our pizza. And while we're enjoying our pizza, we're going to chat with each other. We're going to find out what's it like to be at Blanson High School. What's it like to be at Davis High School. I want you guys to sort of create this cohort, this summer robotic cohort, that you support one another. I think if you heard Clarice and you've heard Mr. Gilo and Mr. Acosta and myself talk to you about this, and Miss Green, is that you have to have a support system no matter where you're at, whether it's high school, whether it's middle school, whether it's college, whether you're in life. A support system will help you and help you get through those things that you're unable to get through. So any questions on the pizza, please. The format for tomorrow will be discussed tomorrow morning. I'm going to ask you to, first of all, I want to say to those 5 or 6 students who attended last year's Robotics Academy and that are attending this year's Robotic Academy, you've raised the bar for yourself. You've been through this one time. You should understand the coding. Probably it's a refresher for you. Maybe you understand the motion and the sound sensors and how to get that robot going. But I can tell you this, we had some really fabulous robots built and coded last month from our 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. We had some that did songs, sang songs. We had some that popped wheelies. We had a lot of things that the students did and coded into their computer robot that I didn't know they could do. I didn't know it was possible. So I urge the 5 or 6 of you, and I encourage the 5 or 6 of you that have attended this workshop last year to step your game up and see what else you can do. And do a little more research in preparation for those college researches on what you can do that sets you apart and what sets you different. On that note, I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to give you a few statistics here. But what I want to mention to you is tomorrow we will have the showcase. I'm not going to expect all of you to showcase your items, your robots. Here's what I want you to do, so listen carefully. I want you to give your robot a name. I want you to give your robot a creative name, not robot. I also want you to tell a story. I want you to tell a story when you show your robot off and you showcase it. I want you to tell me the story of why you built it, what you learned, why you named it, what you named it, and then sort of moderate, like we've been doing here in the front desk and in front of the camera, what you're doing and why you're doing it. That storytelling, along with what you've learned in this class, might get you that first place prize. I'm going to be awarding a first place prize, a second place prize, and a third place prize. I'm going to be away from the studio. I'm going to be in another part of the university. I will be in an office. I will only see the showcase and the actual robots when you have them filmed or you have them on TV or on our monitors when you're streaming them. Now, those of you that don't have the capability of being able to stream, I'm going to let Mr. Gilo talk about that for a second, and then I'm going to move right on to the statistics I want to share with you, and then we'll get moving here, okay? So you might want to mention like some of the things that our middle school academy did because they weren't able to actually show us right then and there.
Sure. So if you are not able to, let's say you're using your phone to Zoom right now and collaborate on Zoom only on your one device, here's what you're going to do. Tonight, once Mr. Acosta and I are done with the coding section of your Mbot Ranger, you're going to take a video and you're going to send that video to an email address that we'll provide at the end of the broadcast today. And so, again, let me emphasize, if I've been watching the entire broadcast this entire week on my phone, and I want to participate in the showcase, but I'm unable to show off the phone because you can't have the coding app and Zoom open at the same time. So, uh, what you're going to do is you're going to create a little video of what you've done, and you can send that to us. Uh, we'll provide the link on where to send that at the end of the broadcast today. Okay?
And let me say that I will not be looking at the quality of your video. I will not be looking at the sound of your video. I will be merely looking for and listening for the storyline behind your video, and I will be looking to see whether or not you mastered any of the objectives that dealt with the coding of it. Remember, the programming is the thinking. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? What am I going to make my robot do? And the coding is today, which is you're going to give it the instructions to carry out your thinking. That's what I'm going to be looking for. Because I understand that not everybody has an expensive computer at home right now. I understand that not everybody has a camera on their computer. So I get it, and that is not part of what I'm going to look for. I'm going to look for whether or not you were able to master the objectives that were taught this week. And I hope you can, because this is going to be a lifelong skill for you. When you think about it, everything has coding. Your phone, your microwave, your oven, anything that's electronic. So that's what I want to tell you. I'm sure the gentleman will further tell you some more later about anything. They were there last time, they know. But I challenge you to please try to do the best you can and be a little creative. Before we leave, I want to tell you that last night I was on Twitter, I was on Instagram, I was on Facebook, and I think there was one I didn't get to, and that would have been, what's the fourth one? We have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat, and I was on YouTube. And so I didn't see any responses on any of those social media. So right now, I am the king and I am the queen of social media. So I challenge you to get out there and tweet something, say something, say that, whatever you need to say. But I challenge you for that. And here's some statistics we got from yesterday's UHD Trio Talent Search YouTube. The first day we had our Robotics Academy, we had 2 subscribers, and we had 31 views. Day 2, we had 5 subscribers and 23 views. And yesterday, we had 10 subscribers and 17 views. So I encourage you to get on, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think this is going to be a pretty dominant area that we're going to be using videos next year. And let me tell you why. Not everybody can make the advising sessions. Not everybody can come to these afternoon summer robotic academies. Not everybody can go to the workshop that Mr. Acosta has in the afternoon. So we're going to start recording them and placing them on our YouTube channel and probably our website. So we don't want you to miss anything. And so we want to know who you are. We want to know that you're watching and you're listening. So please subscribe to our channels and let us know that you're interested and involved. And that's all I have to say for now, guys. I'm sorry we took a lot of time, but I think it was very important for the students to hear somebody else's first year experience. You heard mine. You heard a little bit of Mr. Gilo's. And if you want to hear more, let us know. Remember, I asked you to please email me or email one of the advisors if you want us to continue recording or live streaming any of these mini podcasts for you on these different issues that we think you might encounter when you enter college. Maybe a FAFSA, maybe scholarship research finding, maybe what's out there. So I can tell you it's not just our problem, it's not just a problem you're having. I can tell you 90%, in my opinion, 90% of the people out there, the kids and the students, they're just like you, they're having just the same amount of difficulty. So We're here to support you. That's it for me today, guys. Let me know what. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. Okay, so Mr. Costa is going to join now, and we're going to actually start getting things together. Hopefully, you have your Mbot Ranger next to you with a device and the 3 apps we talked about installed.
Yeah, nobody said they were having trouble. Well, and those that said they were said they figured it out. So we should all have these apps downloaded and ready to go. We're going to share our screen. And we'll walk you through how it is that we code this robot. And so the app, I'll wait for the screen share. Perfect. So I'm going to go to our apps, and what I'm going to click on is the M-Block Blocky app. The thumbnails are the same in every device that we use, whether it's an Android or an iOS phone and iPhone, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to go to the M-Block Blocky, which is the app in the middle. It's going to look like that. On the upper right corner, let's go ahead and grab our Ranger, guys. Turn it on. On the screen, if you look on the upper right corner, you can see that broken. If you click on that symbol, that's how you're going to connect your Ranger with the app. So let's go ahead and click on that upper right corner. This one, it's going to be searching for your robot. Just hold it nearby to the app. And if it's not finding it, we'll sure if it's still not finding it, the app and we started the lemon experience and we'll So we're just messing with the camera settings here, guys.
And please let us know. We had another technical issue, as is with every broadcast. Please let us know if there's an audio or video issue. This morning we did have a loss of all of our settings from the past 3 days. So please be patient. Let us know, and we will make sure to fix that.
Sure. So once on your app, there's going to be you won't necessarily have the two that you see on the right that says Mbot, or the two that say Mbot. It tells you don't have the Mbot button. On this tablet, we use the program. What you should have is this symbol or this thumbnail. Let's click on that. So what comes up, what we saw yesterday, is these modules. And so what these modules are going to do, guys, is going to walk us through block coding and how to actually do it. So yesterday we, this screen and Dr. Flores gave the lesson. They told you what was coding, what is block coding, why are we using block coding, and now we're actually going to dive into it and how do you do block coding? How do you attach these blocks? And we're going to go through these modules together. If you want to move ahead, I don't see why that would be a problem. But if you want to, do it with me as I go, you're more than welcome to. But we're going to start off with the sequence, guys. And so these first modules are going to be super basic. They're going to introduce blocks and how to attach blocks. So let's go ahead and click on number 1, sequence. And so when you're on here, it's introducing you. So here's where you can control Lane Raider with programs. And so let's try it. And so here, it's already got this code made for you. And so it's just introducing how it is that you're going to interact with the robot. And so if you notice on the upper left, guys, there is a code, a block code there. So it says when you click the play button, and that symbol represents that button in the bottom right corner, it's going to say, hello, I am Ranger. And that red code it's actually going to verbally say it. It's a dance and beat that it makes. So if you click on that button, your robot reacts. So what your robot should have just done was clicked or beeped, and then it turned in a couple of different directions. And so there, it is connected. We're going to be able to input blocks here that are going to determine the way your robot moves. And so to move on to the next module, we're going to click on that orange button, the fast forward button. And so on the bottom right, guys, we're going to insert a video, or on the right hand side, we're going to insert a video of my desk and the robot that I am using that is connected to my iPad. And so is there music playing right now, guys? Or I guess let me ask this, can you hear me clearly right now? Okay, awesome. So if at any point, if the music is too loud and you can't hear us, or we're breaking up, please let us know so we can readjust.
So there's music playing right now.
Do you guys? Sorry, guys. We're just testing out some things. We want to make sure that the audio is spot on. So give us like 2 seconds while we look at something. No worries, Sherman. Let's walk you through it again. And so when we click on these apps, I'm going to exit out of this, guys. Everyone else can be patient. For a moment, I'm going to close out of it. We're going to go to the 3 apps we downloaded yesterday, Sherman, and we're going to choose the M-Block Blocky. It's the app in the middle. It's has the same thumbnail if you're using Android, so it should look the same. I think it is also named the same, but in case it's not, it is the same icon. We're going to click on that one. And there should be an icon that pops up that says Ranger Land Raider. That's what we're going to click on. It's going to bring up all these modules for us. And if you notice, they're locked because they do want you to do them sequentially. They want you to do them in order because each module builds on the previous module. And so if we were to just jump into, this one, it wouldn't make any sense. And so if you're on the app, you're going to click on the Ranger Land Raider. It should look like this. You can click on that and it's going to bring up all these modules. And we're going to be starting off on number 1, sequence. And you're not too far behind. We've only done one. That's only going to take a second. And so once you do that, click on sequence, and then there's going to be modules within that module. And we're going to do number 1 in case you haven't done it. And this is going to just, this first module is going to be about how do we interact with the app and what is the interface. And so we're going to walk through it again. And so if you see on the top right, it's disconnected. Let me connect it again. Sorry, my robot disconnected. Yours might too. It looks like I might have to. There we go. It's connected. And so if you notice on the upper left, it's already got a block code put together for us. It's just asking us to actually play it. So what it's saying is when we put our block code together, to actually get it transferred into the robot, for our robot to act upon that sequence, we have to click on this bottom right button. If you see on the upper left. If it's not connecting to the second app, what I'm asking, you should try turning off and turning back on your robot first. So click on the button in the back and then click it again. And then when you're in this app, when you see the screen that you see, I know that you can't see it right now, it's on my screen, but when you open it up on the upper right corner, there's going to be a button that looks like a link. It's going to be the furthest right corner. You know, there's only two buttons. One looks like a comment bubble. The other one is a link. I want you to click on that link button, and that's what's going to prompt you to connect to the robot. Okay, perfect. Now that it's connected, let's go into the Ranger Land Raider. Let's go into sequence 1. And in here, whoops, let's go, what you'll see is sequence 1. We're going to click on module number 1. And then we're going to walk through it. Like I said, it's already got a block code made for us. We're going to click the bottom right, and we're going to play this block code. So if you look at my screen, you see the robot moving around. And so that's what the Hello I Am Ranger block represents. It does that. And I am on a table, guys, and I'm going to keep a very close eye on the robot. Just keep in mind that once we start moving into the movement sequences, like actually we're about to, you don't want your robot to roll off the edge. So you have to grab it and hold it so it moves in place, or put it on the ground. Do whatever you have to do so that it doesn't fall over. And so this sequence, guys, it's telling us that we're going to have to put these blocks together. So as we've already learned block coding, we're going to put different blocks together to accomplish certain actions. And so what we're going to do is we're going to join these two blocks. So when we click the play button, our robot is going to move forward for 1 second at a speed of 150. I'm not exactly sure what distance or measurement it's using for distance, but I'll try to figure that out and let you guys know. But this is a block, so now we're putting blocks together to accomplish a code. And so once you attach it, guys, click play. And what you notice is your robot move forward. And so slowly we're working through these movements and how to attach blocks together. And don't worry, guys, I know it's super simple right now. It's very intuitive, but it's going to get more intricate as we go. So now, last sequence, we asked it to move forward. Now we wanted to move forward and move back. So let's go ahead and attach the block. Let's attach our second block. And for right now, these blocks are already filled out for us. In the future, we'll have to adjust them and fill them out according to what we want them to do. But for right now, they're just showing us how to put blocks together, and it's already filled out. So we just have to put them in the correct order and click play. If you look at the screen, you see the robot move, and yours should be doing the same. So, module number 4. Let's tell the Lane Raider to turn left and then to turn right. So we've done move forward, move backwards. Now let's move in these other directions. So we're going to turn left, then we're going to turn right. Once you attach those blocks together, click play. There you go. Very slight movement. The next module, and at any point, guys, if you have any questions or you want me to go through a module again, please let me know and I will do that. And so now it's introducing a new function. That's to complete this task, you need to use the delete function. If you delete important blocks by accident, click on the button at the top right to reset. And so now it's showing us if we grab a block that we did not intend to grab, or if we no longer need the block that we grabbed, how do we get rid of that? So we're going to grab the one we no longer need. So it's prompting us to delete the blocks that are no longer deleted. What we need is for our Land Raider to turn left and then to move backwards. Like it's showing us there, there is one that is moving in the that is not needed, which is a turn right. We want our robot to turn left and then we want it to move backwards. So we're going to get rid of it and we're going to toss it aside. We're just going to move it to that left-hand column. As an example, it did want to show us the reset button, so I'm going to get rid of one that we do need. Threw it away, and so since we want to reset the blocks as it were, you're going to click on that upper right button, and it resets the entire module, and we have everything back on our screen. So let's go ahead and get rid of what we have to get rid of. Let's attach what we have to attach. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. So I'm trying to adjust it in a way that won't be disruptive to my desk. So turn left and then move backwards. Our next module, guys, tell the lane rater to move in this order. You want it to turn left, then we want it to turn right, and then we want it to move forward. And so now we're going to combine everything that we've done thus far. We've done move forward, move backwards, turn left, turn right, and delete blocks. And so we want it to turn left, so the first block is correct. Then we want it to turn right, and then we want it to move forward. We don't need this block because at no point is it asking us to move something backwards. Once you have sequenced it, you'll click play. Your robot should follow your code. And there you go. Again, guys, if at any point you have any questions as to how this works, and you probably won't have very many questions until you get into the more advanced modules. I remember during our last academy, there was people that once they got to module 8 or 9, it started to get tricky, and that the app really put it on you to figure out how to accomplish this task. So some of these people would be like, I think I'm doing it right, but they weren't necessarily, and so we had to work through that together. So while it might be easy right now, don't feel shy to ask a question later on. And so sequence number 7, tell the lane rater to move in this order. We want it to turn right, then we wanted to move backwards, and then we wanted to move forward. And so far, guys, we have put our blocks together, and it's already been filled out for us. But now it's actually going to show us how do we modify these blocks to do something different than what it says. And so if you click on where it says forward, it's actually going to let you customize each specific block to move in a direction that you want it to. And so when you grab it from the bank on the left, we'll see that in a second, it might automatically say move forward. You're going to be able to adjust it for what you want. And so our prompt was tell the lane rater to move in this order, turn right. So our first block is going to say turn right. Let's separate them. Our second block, it says move backwards. So we need to adjust this forward to be backwards. And then we want it to move forward. So we're going to grab our third block, and it's going to move forward. And so once you adjust them in the correct order, you build it in the correct order, in the correct sequence, you click play, and it should do it. Let's see. There we go. Perfect. Now we're moving towards the end of this sequence, this first module, guys. But it's really, I feel like, and I hope all of you feel that way. It's very intuitive. It's all making a lot of sense, the way these blocks are supposed to fit together and how you're supposed to build them upon each other in a specific order. Tell the lane rater to move in this order. We wanted to move forward, then we wanted to turn left, then we wanted to move backwards, and then we wanted to turn right. And so our first block needs our rater to move forward. Our second block, we needed to turn left, so we're going to have to edit that one to turn left. Our third block, we needed to move backwards, so we're going to adjust it to say backwards. And then we needed to turn right. So our fourth block is going to turn right. Now you notice we have an extra block that we do not need. In a couple of modules ago, it showed us how to get rid of them. If you want to get rid of a block you don't need, you move it to the right, or sorry, to the left. It's going to prompt you with a trash icon. That's where you're going to dump it. You click play. It should do what it asked you to do. What you asked it to do. What you coded it to do, actually. So now we've progressed enough to unlock a certain feature in this app. And so far, every block that we've ever needed has been presented to us already in the screen. But when we're actually block coding, when we're actually full-on coding, especially for the showcase, when you're coming up with your own codes, you're going to have a bank on the left. Eventually, all of these squares are going to open up, and each of them are going to contain a variety of different blocks that you're going to be able to use in the way that you want to code your robot in the way that you want to. And so right now only one is available, it's move, but the point is it's not always going to give us the blocks on the screen, guys. From here on out, for the most part, we're going to have to go retrieve and know which blocks we need. And so the prompt right now is tell the land raider to move in this order. We want it to move forward, we want it to turn left, we want it to move backwards, and then we want it to turn right. So we're going to go to this block on the left that says move, and we're going to grab a block that we need. And so now we know that the block that we need is going to be under the move section. And it's pretty intuitive. If you need your robot to move in a certain way, you're going to go to the move tab. And so we actually need 4 different blocks because we have 4 movements coded into this code. And so we're going to grab a second one. And our second one is going to be turn left. So we have to edit it to turn left. We need a third block, and this one is going to be move backwards. We want our raider to move backwards. And then we're going to grab a fourth block, and we're going to do turn right. Always double check your work. So we're going to move forward, we're going to turn left, we're going to move backwards, and then we're going to turn right. Sorry, it seems like this camera. Let's see. Work. It's unfocused. Let me make sure if I can get it focused. There we go.
Is it okay?
Yes. And so click play, guys, and it should do. And it ran over my cord, so it got stuck. And so we completed that first sequence, guys. That first quick sequence was, for the most part, a sort of tutorial as to how do you play your code, how do you attach blocks to each other, and where do you go to attach the, to grab the blocks that you need. Now we're going to move into more specific areas of the MBOT. So this module is going to focus on sound and light. And so what I can tell you guys is that we always have, we've had some really creative showcases, but something we haven't seen so far that maybe, some of you may want to do and focus on is we haven't seen a lot of people incorporate sound and light. Well, of course they incorporate sound as in it's flashing, but maybe in some of these more complicated ways that you can incorporate light and sound. So that might be a really cool thing to do for the showcase. And towards the end, we're going to give you some time to work on potential codes that you would want to show off during the showcase. We're going to give you an opportunity to work through that. So I'll try to give you some more ideas then too. So if you click on this module and you go to module number 1, we're about to be introduced to new blocks. So far, the only blocks we've been introduced to are the movement blocks. So move forward, move right, so on and so forth. But now we're going to look at some of the blocks that tell our raider to do other movements. And so this block is going to tell the land raider to play a note. So now we're actually going to get into the expression of sound, right? So we wanted to tell the land raider to play a note once. And so when you look at this block, it tells you a specific note, it's a C, and then it tells you how long it's the beat. The prompt isn't telling us how long it should be, so I know for a fact that you can play it as you want. If you click on the C5, you're actually able to change different keys, so you can play the key that you want. I'll just, as an example, I'll choose F5, and I'll choose for a double beat. You can make it shorter. It's not gonna affect whether you accomplish this module or not, but I'm gonna click play. See, I think you guys probably heard that. Our next module is going to be tell the land raider to turn left and then to play a note. So now we're going to combine what we learned in our last module with something we learned in the previous couple of modules ago. So we've already got our movement block, and then we're going to go retrieve our note block. So we want our raider to show us something. So we're going to grab the block. We're going to go to the show tab and grab the block that we need. And so that movement block is move forward. We actually want it to turn left, so let's go edit it to turn left. It's going to play a note, and that looks good to me, and so you're going to click on that bottom right button. It's going to play. It's going to turn right, or sorry, turn left, and then play a note. The next sequence, guys, we want to tell the lane rater to turn left. We wanted to play a note. Then we wanted to play a note once, excuse me. We wanted to turn right, and then we wanted to play a note once. So now we're getting more intricate, right? It's still pretty simple, but it's more blocks, and we're alternating between coding, between actions that we want our robot to take. And so let's go ahead and grab just the blocks that we need. So we have our movement block that we need. Right after that, we want to play a note, so we need a note block. Then we need another movement block, and we're going to grab that out of the movement tab. Then we need another note tab. We're going to go to the show tab, another note block, and we're going to go into our show tab and grab the block that lets us play music. And so what it wants it to do is to turn left, so we're going to have to edit our first block. So it's going to turn left for 1 second at a speed of 150. Then it's going to play note C5 for a quarter beat. You can edit that one if you want. Then it's going to move forward. We don't want it to move forward. We want it to turn right. It's going to turn right for 1 second at a speed of 150. And then it's going to play a note C5 for a quarter beat. And so that looks good to me. We'll click the play button. And what you'll notice, guys, if you do it wrong, your robot will do the sequence that you coded in there, but then it's going to give you a different sound. It's going to tell you that it wasn't correct, and it's going to give you an opportunity to do it again. So coding blocks not only can tell the lane rater to play a note, they also can tell the lane rater to emit light. So we've done movement, we've done sound, now let's do some light. So let's give it a shot. So it is prompting us, it wants us to tell the lane rater to turn on the light with the color red. And so it's already provided for us a light block, a block that is going to prompt the robot to turn on its light. But you see it's coded right now as being blue. What we actually want is red. So we're going to click on that red. We're going to click play. If you see my robot on the screen, guys, it turned on all the lights. That red ring is red now. We're going to move on to the next module. Again, at any point, guys, if you need any help, let me know. Now we're going to tell the lane rater to light up its light, then play a note. So now we're combining multiple different functions again. So we already have that light block. And it's not asking us for a specific light, so if you wanted to edit it, and I will, you can click on that red block on the right and you can choose the color. I will choose, FYI, if you choose black, that is turn off the lights. There is no black color in these LEDs. I'll choose blue. And then it wants us to play a note, so we're going to go to the show tab. And this is also where you're going to find a light block, but for right now we need a note block. Go ahead and edit that just for fun, and I'll mess with the beat. And as long as it's not telling you specifically, you know, this specific color or this specific note, for the most part, it's going to let you input whatever you want. I encourage you to do that so you can get a little more familiar with not only grabbing the blocks, but also editing the blocks themselves, and getting that experience with doing different things with them. So you go ahead and click play. You notice my robot turned blue this time and played a note. So light up the red light, then play a note once. Light up a blue light, and then play a note once. So now we're alternating movements again. And so we're going to go grab the blocks that we need. So we need a red light, we have that. We needed to play a note, we have that. Then we need another light block. Grab the wrong one, and get rid of that. Light block, we want it to turn blue, so we'll edit that to be blue. And then it wants us to play a note. So when you go to our show tab, we'll grab a note block. I think These are so your radar, if I'm not mistaken, has 12 LEDs in that ring. I think you can choose which specifically light up in what way. So um, I'll do 6 and see what that looks like, because I'm not completely familiar with what that does, but let's take a look and see what that does. So I'm going to, oh, see, so before, when you tell them to light up all of them, it lights up the entire ring, but right now it just lit up that specific LED that I told it to light up. Maybe that's something that you can incorporate in the showcase. Figure out a way to light up specific ones, do a specific message. I don't know. That's pretty cool. You just learned how to drive the Land Raider. Now you can launch the Land Raider, drive safely. And so tell the Land Raider to light up the purple light, play a note, and then move forward. So now we're combining every block that we've learned thus far. So when you go to our show tab, we'll grab a light block. It wants it to be a purple light, so we'll do that. It wants us to play a note, so we'll go to the show tab. Grab a note block. And then it wants it to move forward, so we'll go to the move tab, grab a movement block. And we don't have to adjust that at all. Just because my space here is small, what I'm going to do is edit some of these seconds. It's going to be less than a second. So just move forward for half a second and maybe adjust the speed. I'll make it slow just so it doesn't roll into my iPad. So, oh, it moved a lot less than I thought it would. And so, there we go. Okay, guys, so we got to the third module. What I'm thinking is let's take a short break since we've been in this academy for about an hour and a half. I think it's a good time for a break. Go grab a snack from that pouch that we gave you, restroom break, stretch your legs. And then we're going to get back and we'll get started on sequence number 3.
How long you want to take? 15 minutes?
Let's do 15 minutes.
We'll be back in 15 minutes. but I'm sorry to hear that. That's
It's fine.
Sherman, did you need to talk to anybody during the break? Let me know, Sherman, if you need to talk to someone during the break.
So Sherman, are you having trouble seeing the screen and hearing us? Sherman, can you hear us?
All right, welcome back, everyone, from our 15-minute break. Thank you, Mr. Acosta. I'm going to take over. The next part we're talking about is loops, but before we do that, if you are having an issue viewing the stream or hearing the stream on both YouTube and Zoom, my recommendation to you right now is to try and log off, close out everything, maybe restart your device, and try to come back real quick. And we're going to be moving at a slower pace But let us know if that doesn't work, and we'll figure it out from there. As of right now, I haven't heard anything back from those that may have had issues here just a few minutes ago. Let us know. Okay, so where we left off was at number 3, which is loop. And so that's what we're going to do now. Okay. So that's what we're going to do now, and we're going to start off with number 1 here. You can see the robot responded there. Now, they want us to play a note for 3 times. It doesn't say what kind of note, for how long. So we're just going to take these 3, and we're going to drag them up. Play. There we go. Okay, so the repeat block, it helps to keep the program nice and neat. So maybe you don't want to have the 3 notes, the 3 separate blocks that we just added in the last segment. Maybe you want just a repeat block, and you tell the repeat block how many times you want it to repeat. So it wants us to tell the land raider to repeat a note 5 times, and you may use no more than 3 blocks. Well, guess what? We already have 3 blocks here, so it's not like we can add, 3 more of these. So let's hit this. Excellent. And let us know, Sherman, I just saw you pop in. Let us know if you're still having issues there. Okay, so now we're going to tell the land raider to repeat playing a note for 7 times, and you can use no more than 3 blocks. So what we need to do is come down to where it says control. And let me see if I can move myself here. It says control down here in the bottom left. So I'm going to take this block, drag it on here, right underneath the play block. And then what I'm going to do is put the note inside of the repeat block. So they want you to repeat playing a note 7 times, okay? So we need to go in here into the repeat block, which is the orange block. And we're going to select 7 and hit the little check mark. Once again, it doesn't tell you which kind of note or for how long they want you to do it. Not yet, anyway. Excellent. Okay. And let us know if you're having trouble with any of this so that we can walk you through it. The segments here kind of hold your hand a little bit until you can actually feel more comfortable with coding on your own, and that's sort of what we're getting at here. So in 3-4, we're telling the land raider to repeat 3 times the following. We want it to turn left, then we want it to turn right, and we can use no more than 4 blocks. Okay? So we're going to go back in, we're going to grab the repeat block. We're going to grab both of these and put them both inside of the repeat block, and then we want to make sure that it's 3 times we're going to repeat. And as you can see, we've used 4 blocks here. Left, right, left, and right again. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to tell the Land Raider that we want it to turn on a white light, then repeat the following move for 3 times. Turn left, then turn right. Okay, so they're adding in another component which Mr. Acosta went over, which was these, is it 12 LEDs that are in here? So we want all the lights to turn white. So you click on the red here, gives you the color spectrum. Click white, and then we want it to move. So we'll go into the move panel here. We're going to grab this, put it under, and we're going to need it to do another move. So the first part is they want us to make it turn left. So we're going to have it turn left. Doesn't say at what speed, so we'll just leave it at speed 150 here. Then we want it to turn right, but they want us to do this 3 times, okay? But it looks like they only want us to have it repeat these 2 sections. So let's go into control. Let's go to repeat. I'm going to plug that in underneath the white LED panel block. Okay, and then I'm going to grab both of these and put them into the repeat block, and it wants us to repeat it for 3 times. So we're going to go in here. So you have to be very careful whenever you're actually going in and coding it, because I wouldn't think to have put the repeat block underneath the LED panel block, but if you get it wrong, it tells you. So let's find out. There we go.
It's very important, guys, to read the what it's asking you very specifically, because it's easy to get them mixed up, like I was saying earlier. You have to really think about what it's asking you to do and which way you have to sequence the blocks to do what it's asking you to do. And it's going to help you a lot when you're actually coding, when you're actually block coding, for you to be able to accomplish what it is that you want to do, because you have to sequence your blocks in a very specific and very deliberate way to produce what you want it to produce. Or else, if you were to put that LED light in the wrong place, right above where it said turn left, guys, it would just be flashing the light over and over again instead of having the light constantly on. So it's those sort of things where you have to think about where you want these blocks to go.
Right. So guess what? We just passed the third section of looping. The next one kind of uses the ultrasonic sensors. So if we go into here, it says, congratulations, you received the wait block. Try it now. Okay. You want to tell the Land Raider to move forward for 1 second, wait for 1 second, and then move backward for 1 second. So you need to go back into the move panel on the left, and I'm going to tell it to move backward for 1 second at a speed of 150. All right. So now we want it to move forward, wait for 2 seconds, and then stop moving. Okay. So move forward. We're going to wait for 2 seconds. So we're going to click on here. It's going to give you an option. You can do, what is it, 1/10 of a second, if you wanted to. and then you want it to stop moving. So the when you go back into move, there is a specific block that says stop moving. So you click on that one and then you drag it right underneath the weight for 2 seconds. So let's see what happens. It's driving up on my arm. Okay. Alright, try out the new functions of the Land Raider. So, you want to tell the Land Raider to move forward until there's an obstacle ahead. Remember, this is what the ultrasonic sensor is sensing. Basically, the two eyes that you see on it are sending out a signal that we cannot hear as humans, and if it bounces and comes closer to the sensors here, it knows. But if it takes longer for that signal to reach, it knows it can go a little bit further. So we're going to tell the Land Raider to move forward until there's an obstacle ahead. So those are these two blocks right here. So we're going to drag those underneath. And then we want it to stop moving. So the blocks are already here for 4-3, but the next section will surely have us go hunt for them. Alright, so I kind of stuck my hand out in front of it. I don't know if you could have seen that, and it stopped moving at that point.
To get this sequence, guys, it does have to sense an object in front of it. So if it's just driving on and on, you're going to fail. So if you have to put your hand in front of it or a book or something for it to detect that obstacle, that'll get it for you. Even if it's in the correct order, you have to do that.
So now we're going to tell the Land Raider to move forward until there's an obstacle ahead. And in that case, you stop moving, you light up red. Okay? So we're going to move forward at a speed of 100. Then we want it to we want it to stop moving. So both of these were correct. So you have to sort of think about this. And then we want to go to move. We want to pull a stop moving because we're waiting until there's an obstacle ahead. Then we're going to stop moving, and then we're going to light up red. So we're going to go into the show section, pull down the LED panel, and it's already defaulted to red. So let's see what happens. Excellent. So it sensed my hand, it stopped moving, and it lit up red. Okay, so next we're going to tell the Land Raider to move forward until there's an obstacle ahead, and then it's going to turn left for 1 second. You may be able to see where this is going. If there's an obstacle ahead whenever you're doing your own individual coding, then what you're going to be able to do is have it turn. It's going to maybe sense a wall in front of it, or a chair, or coffee table, or whatever, maybe your dog, and it's going to divert. And sort of, you can see how maybe this is built into something like a Roomba. Okay, so we're going to go into control. We're going to hook this little wait until to the obstacle ahead because we want it to move forward until there's an obstacle ahead, and then we want it to turn left. So we'll have to change the move block to turn left. So let's see what happens now. There we go.
So So you're stuck at the previous step. Are you stuck on 4-4?
Okay, let's go back. What's this one, right?
Yes. Is this the one, Sherman?
Okay. So, like Mr. Costa said, you have to be very careful on what you're telling it to do. The first thing that we read here is we want it to move forward until there's an obstacle ahead. So the blocks are already there. What you need to do is click on the wait until, and you're going to drag it right underneath the keep moving forward, because the instructions tell us that they want us to have the Land Raider move forward until there's an obstacle ahead, and then we're going to do something right after that. So, what are we going to do? We're going to stop moving, okay? So we're going to go into the move panel. We're going to grab the stop moving, and we're going to put that right underneath the wait until obstacle ahead, then stop moving. Okay, and then the last step to that is that they want it to light up red whenever it stops moving. So we have to go into the show panel on the top left portion here. And we're going to grab this LED panel block. And it doesn't say all lights, but it does specifically state that it wants it to light up red. So the default color on here is red whenever you drag the block in. So just keep that as red and hit play. Now, like Mr. Costa said, it'll keep moving until it senses an object. Remember, the only way that you're going to pass this section is if an obstacle is in front of these two sensors. So what you need to do is whenever you press play, at least stick your hand out in front of it, and it should stop, and these lights will turn red. Perfect. Okay.
Whenever you put in these blocks, guys, the robot is going to take you very literally. It's
Yeah.
going to do exactly what you tell it to do. And so that's why you have to be very careful with coming up, in your mind, visualizing what you want to do, and then working backwards and finding the blocks to do that. The robot's always going to do what you ask it to do. So you have to be very careful with what blocks you're inserting.
Okay. And I believe we already passed 4-5 here. Oop. Okay. So it tells you upon finishing this portion, the Land Raider will not run into the obstacle. So here's what we're going to do. Every time it sees an obstacle, it's going to turn by itself. So it may look complicated, but you need to really pay attention to what the instructions are and what you're telling the robot to do. Okay? So we want the Land Raider to move forward. That's the very first step. Okay? And whenever there is an obstacle ahead, whether it be your hand or whatever, then you want it to turn left for 1 second. Okay? So what I'm seeing here is nothing that has to do with repeat. So I'm going to go ahead and trash this. All right.
I think so.
Yeah. You may not complete the task after deleting the block. Okay. So, apparently it wants the repeat block. We'll see. Alright, we're going to have it move forward. I'm going to put this underneath the repeat block. What I'm guessing is that every time it's moving forward and it sees an obstacle, you want it to turn left for 1 second. And it's going to continuously keep doing this. So basically, if you hold your hand in front of it, if I hold my hand, it's going to turn left, and it's going to continue to turn left. And see, I just keep holding my hand in front of it. I'm just blocking it and blocking it. It continues, so that it's just repeating that until you hit stop. You're stuck at 5. Let's go back. Okay, so you want to tell the Land Raider to move forward till there's an obstacle ahead. So the first block is correct. But what you need to do is go down to control on the bottom left. Let me move my camera here. Bottom left, there is a control section. Let's see. We'll do that. Okay. So there is a control section here. So we want to do the wait until. Okay? So, and we're going to hook those onto the obstacle ahead part. So we're going to keep moving forward until there's an obstacle ahead. Okay? And then we want to move, we want it to turn left. Okay? So that should be your whole sequence for 4-5. Got it? Okay? There we go. Alright, we're going to do 4-6 again. Okay. Just so everyone can follow along, and I know I was having trouble with it myself, so... but the trick to this one is it's telling you that it wants you to continue, it wants the robot to continue moving even though there's an obstacle in front by constantly turning left. Basically, infinitely avoiding an obstacle by turning left is what we're having it do. Okay? So, we're going to go in here, and you're going to keep the repeat block, but we're going to drag this top block that says keep moving forward into the repeat block. That drags everything with it. And then we want it to turn left. So that bottom block, we want it to turn left. Okay, so we're having it move forward and wait until there's an obstacle ahead. When there is an obstacle ahead, it's going to turn left and keep turning left and keep turning left and keep turning left. As long as there's an obstacle in front of it, it's going to keep turning left. Okay? So, let's demonstrate this here. I'm going to hit play. It sees my hand, and look, it just keeps moving left. Just keeps moving left. But see, if it doesn't, it's just going to drive right off the table. So we're going to hit stop. There we go. So it'll get away from you. It'll keep trying to get away from you until you actually hit stop on that one. Okay? All right, on 4-7, we're going to tell the Land Raider to move forward, and when there's a obstacle ahead, we're going to have it turn right for 1 second. Okay, so very similar to what we've already done. So we're going to take this, I'm going to drag this all the way up underneath. We're going to have it move forward. Doesn't say at what speed. And whenever there's an obstacle ahead, so that orange block that says wait until, you're going to go into sense on the left hand side. I'm going to drag the obstacle ahead part right here. I'm going to hook that on there. Okay. So now I have two. I dragged an extra one, so I'm going to go ahead and trash that one. We don't need that. And then we want it to turn right for 1 second. So we're going to grab our move block again, put that underneath, and we want it to turn right. So we're going to click on forward, click turn right for 1 second, and it doesn't ask you to pick at what kind of speed. So we'll leave that at default. Alright, so it's moving, it turned right. Oh, I failed. So what did I do wrong?
I'm guessing it's probably because it wants you to do it on repeat.
Gotcha.
That
So
might
we
be
need...
it. That's my guess.
Okay, so we need to go into control then. And we need to click on the repeat. Alright? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these blocks off for a second so that I can drag the repeat up to where it says when the play button is clicked, repeat. And I want this entire segment that we just worked on to go inside of the repeat block. So let's see what happens. That's exactly what it was. Mr. Costa was right. It wants it to constantly turn right if it senses an obstacle. So, I mean, essentially the same thing we just did, except it turned right instead of left last time. Or this time, sorry. So guess what? There is a following section here on the next one. If you're stuck on that one, on that last one on section 4, let me know. Upon finishing the program, try to block the Land Raider with your hand from its front. So that's exactly what we were doing. So if you block the Land Raider with your hand from its front, the Land Raider will play a note once. So that's what you want it to do. So it's same kind of blocks here. We want the wait until. It doesn't say what kind of note or for how long they want the note to be, so we're going to stick our hand in front of the Land Raider. And it played a note, and that was it. So for 5-2, we want every time you block the Land Raider with your hand from the front, the Land Raider is going to play a note for one time. So this is the way I'm sort of reading the words every time. Is you want to add the repeat block.
Guessing, yeah.
So let's grab control. Let's go into repeat. I'm going to take this entire section that's already kind of built for us, and I want to put the repeat block underneath the wait until clicked. I'm going to put the repeat block underneath that, and then if you click on the wait until, it'll drag the entire section into the repeat block. Okay, So essentially what you're telling it is every time you put your hand in front of your robot, it's going to play this note, A5 for a half beat. Okay, so let's see what happens. So every time you put your hand in front of it, it's going to play that note. All right, so now it wants us to tap the play block and the Land Raider with, and block the Land Raider with your hand and see what it will do. So let's just take a look and see what's going to happen. So it gets a little complicated there. So if you block it with your hand with this sequence, it's going to light up blue. But if there's no obstacle in front of it, guess what? The blue light goes away. Put my hand in front of it, there it is. Take my hand away, it's gone. So you can kind of see how you could almost build something like a emergency vehicle or something pretty cool with this. You know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe showcase something tomorrow. So let's build that. Let's do exactly what they just showed us. So every time you block the Land Raider with your hand, we're gonna have it light up red. Otherwise, have it light up green. So instead of the robot turning off all the lights, what's going to happen is it's going to light up green instead of turning off all the lights. So if we block it, it'll light up red. Take our hand away, light up green. Okay? So we already have our repeat block here. So we're going to have our control section here. This is where it really starts to plug in the if, then, else block. And so, you know, when you're coding, you want it to do, what do you want it to do if it's doing this? If it encounters this, then it will do what? Okay? So you kind of have to play around with it a little bit. So what it wants us to do here is every time, when you see the words every time, in my mind I'm thinking repeat block. So repeat block's already in here. We're going to drag the if, then, else block inside of the repeat block. Okay? So the next section I went ahead and did is I took the obstacle ahead block and I dragged it right to the if an obstacle is detected. Okay? So basically you're saying if an obstacle is detected ahead, which will be your hand, then what you're going to do is you're going to have it turn red. Okay, so it's already defaulted to red, so the next thing that we're going to do is if there's not an obstacle ahead, they want it to turn green. So you're going to take the block, and it's already defaulted to green here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit play. And when I put my hand in front of the robot, and it's going to show red, if I take my hand away, it'll be green. So there it is. It's green. My hand's in front. It's red. Take my hand away. Green. Hand in front. Red. So you kind of see how plugging in these if, then, else blocks really start to mess with how you can control the robot, what you can tell it to do, because it doesn't only apply to lights, it's going to apply to the movement, to the speed, to reacting to sounds and the lighting. So you can use this block in an infinite amount of ways. So it says, upon finishing this program, the Land Raider is going to move backward. Will move backward following your hand's movement. So basically, you're kind of it's almost like using the force, and you're pushing it back with your hand, which is pretty cool. So what we're gonna do is, if you block the Land Raider with your hand from the front, the Land Raider is gonna move backwards. So this is something I'd like to see in the showcase for sure. Something along these lines. Maybe not this simple. Once you get really good at it and can mess with it in complex number of ways. But let's take this and say,
I feel like if you could use this to almost dance with it, you could dance with the
yeah,
robot.
you could dance
That
with
was
the
the first
robot.
thing I thought
Yeah.
of. That'd be cool if that's something that can actually be done.
So we have the repeat block in here. I'm not sure if we need it for this section because I don't see every time. Let's see. It may fail me by doing this. No, it did not. Okay. So I went ahead and took away the repeat block. I'm going to put the if then else. The if then else is under control next to the repeat block right underneath it. Okay. So if there's an obstacle ahead, then what do we want it to do? We want it to move backwards. Okay. So you're going to have to select the move block, drag that in. Then we want it to move backwards. It doesn't say for how fast, but for the sake of us having limited space on the table, I'm going to go to slow. And let's see, or else the Land Raider is going to stop moving. So it'll move backward if you put your hand in front of it, or it's going to stop moving. So let's go into move. There's a stop moving block. I'm going to drag that out, and we're going to put that into the else. So here's what we're saying. If you block your robot with your hand, it's going to move backwards. But if nothing is blocking the imbot with your hand or anything else, then it's just going to sit here until someone goes and puts their hand in front of it again. So let's test this theory. Oh, guess what? I guess we need the repeat block. So we need to drag. So essentially what you're telling it is every time. It doesn't say it in here, but every time your hand is put into it. So I'm going to drag this entire segment, put the repeat block in, and then take what we just built and put that inside of the repeat block. Now we'll see what happens. And you can see that it moved backward, and I didn't even have to touch it or anything. So it's like a force field or something, moving it with the force. It's pretty cool. So upon finishing this program, the Land Raider is going to move forward following your hand's movement. So instead of me putting it in front and it moving away from me, we're going to put it in front and it's going to move closer to me. Okay. So now we don't have the segments built for us. We're going to have to go in and build it by ourselves. So let's go in. The repeat block is already there. We know we need that. So we need to go into control and drag the if then else block. Okay. So if an obstacle is in front, i.e. your hand, if your hand is in front, then we want it to move forward, okay? So we're going to go to move forward. I want it to be slow again because, again, we're working with limited space. And if there's no hand in front of it, there's no obstacle in front of it, we want it to stop moving, okay? So we're going to go into move. I'm going to grab the stop moving block, drag it out to here, and let's go ahead and hit play and see what happens. I'm going to move it back just a little bit. I'm going to hit play, put my hand in front of it. There we go. Just follows you and follows you, like, you know. Come on. Come on. Come on. So you can play around with it like that. All right, so now it gets a little bit more intense because now we're going to be working with lighting. So you're combining the lights with the movement. So every time, that means you've got to have the repeat block, okay? Every time you block the Land Raider with your hand from the front, you want it to light up orange, then move forward. Otherwise, you want it to light up blue and stop moving. So what do we need to do? We need to go back into the control section. We need to drag the if, then else block. And then what we're going to do from there is if it detects an obstacle ahead, so that's your sense. If it detects an obstacle ahead, then what you're going to do is have it light up orange and move forward. Okay, so we already have the orange one here, but we have one more that we want it to, we have one more block we need to drag in here, which is the move. We're going to go in here and put that underneath the LED one. So we want it to move forward. Again, I'm going to switch this to the slowest one here. So if an obstacle is ahead, it's going to light up orange and then move forward. Otherwise, so else, you want it to light up blue and you want it to stop moving. So we'll go into move and we're going to drag the stop moving underneath the blue LED. Okay. I assume everyone is with us. I don't see anyone typing in the chat or unmuting their mic to explain if they're stuck. So feel free to do that if you need to. All right. So it's blue right now because guess what? There's nothing in front of it. But if there's something in front of it, like my hand, it's going to light up orange and move closer to me. There we go. So here's what we're going to do. If you're still on section 5 or 4, that's fine. Take your time. We'll go into section 6. And we'll sort of, we may just skip around, but right now we want to take a break. So we're going to take a 15-minute break. Is that good? 15-minute break, and then we'll be right back, all right? You're on section 8. That is perfectly fine, Roman. Keep going. Keep plugging away at it.
Yeah, if anybody else wants to move ahead, feel free. We definitely, on the break, we might do a few more levels, but we definitely want to give you an opportunity to start actually coming up with your own code. So feel free to move forward a little bit. Sherman, which level is that?
do this one. Wait. Apologize, we're having technical difficulties again, but we're still on break. Still on break right now until about 3:45. Okay. So you're stuck at the previous level, the 6th level, which
5-6? 5-6?
is it 5-6 that you are stuck on? Okay. Let's go over that real quick, Sherman. So if you block the Land Raider with your hand from the front, then the Land Raider is going to move forward, or else the Land Raider will stop moving. Okay? So, you want to go into control. Okay? This is, you need the if then else section. Okay? So you go into repeat, and you want to drag the if then else in the repeat section, because you want this to happen every time something like this happens. Something like putting your hand in front of the Land Raider. Okay? So what do you want it to do when it does this? Well, when you put your hand in front, so if it detects an obstacle ahead, which would be your hand, so if you put your hand in front, then it's going to move forward. So under the then section, you go into move. I'm going to drag the move forward block. And if it does not, then it's going to stop moving. Okay? So if it does not detect an obstacle ahead, then it's just going to stop. Okay? So the robot will just sit here. Okay? But if I put my hand in front of it, it's going to continue to move. So let's see what happens. Put my hand in front. It's moving forward. There we go. Let me know if you got that, Sherman. You're at 5-7. Okay. Okay. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back on to break here until about 3:45-ish, and then we'll be right back. Okay.
Hey, welcome back, guys. Welcome back. So I'm going to I want to show you something. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so as we've mentioned plenty of times, we do have that showcase tomorrow. We're going to be able to showcase what you have learned coding and come up with an original story. We definitely want to answer. Try restarting it, Roman. Try that, and then come back if that doesn't work. We want to definitely answer any questions you have about that showcase, but we want to show you what you're going to use to actually, where are you going to store these codes? Where are you having that free template for you to come up with those codes? So what we want to do maybe for the next 30 minutes is give you a 30-minute window for you to play around with the codes. If you want to keep going with the sequences with the modules, by all means, go ahead. I might do a few on the screen. I may not be saying out loud what I'm doing unless you're asking me or you want me to explain. But where are you going to go to come up with some of these codes, some of these original codes? And towards the end, we'll go over some last-minute reminders for tomorrow's showcase. And so when you go into the home app, so it's the same app we've been using. It's going to be the Make block, the one we've been using all day today to look at, to learn about coding. So when you click on this screen, you have the Land Raider module, but at the bottom you see that Create button. I want you to click that Create button. And Roman, keep me updated if that helped any. So you're going to click on that Create button. My screen froze. Let me exit out of that and I'll come back. There we go. It wasn't letting me. There we go. Now it's moving. So I'm going to connect my robot real quick. It's connected. You're going to click on that Create button at the very bottom. And what it's going to take you to is a page where everything that we have learned thus far and everything we have yet to learn is going to be available to use as a template. So we should be familiar with some of these moves, but when you click in there, you're going to see there's a lot of different variety as to what you can do. So far, for the most part, we've only experienced move forward, stop moving, but there are many other functions that your robot can do. And so you definitely want to go through and read them. It might inspire you as to what you want to do. If you do show, okay, Roman, so just hang tight. We'll come back to it in a second. Just listen up to me going over this, and then we'll come back and we'll troubleshoot that. If you go to the Show tab, it's got all these LED options, face panel, this, that. It's got different senses. So we've talked earlier about, it can sense light, it can sense sound, temperature, all sorts of things. And so you can use any of these as you want to. You might not have all of these sensors, like, for example, gas sensor, flame sensor. I think these might be accessories that you can buy. But you should have most of them. There's data. This is when you want to get a lot more complicated. There's certain variables. So I'll show you an example in a second, actually. I won't get into that. You get sidetracked. There's different blocks. You can create your own block. I've never used this specifically. Maybe one of you can incorporate it. I'm going to get rid of it. There's math. When you're trying to calculate specific numerical values, this is going to be very useful. There's different controls. So we've done repeat, if, then, but there's another variety that you can use. And so when you're in here, depending on what you want to do, you can grab anything that you want. So we can do a sense. Let's see, what can we do? Let's do, this is just completely off the top of my head. LED, you can go in here and we'll put them together. Just this too as an example. And let's say this is the code that I came up with. I hope yours is a lot more intricate and more thought out. But what you can do is go on the upper right where it says Untitled. You're going to be able to click on that save. I don't know if any of you guys know what a floppy disk is, but click on that floppy disk symbol, the save symbol, on the upper left. And it's going to let you edit your project. So I'm just going to say code 1, you name it, something maybe creative, something original. I'm going to confirm it. And I've saved this code. On the upper right, next to the save button, there's this list. And that's where all the previous codes that I've come up with are. So if I just completely get rid of this and I go up to my saves and I click code 1, it should, let me get out of here, create, why isn't it saved? Mess around with it. Where'd it go? It's supposed to save and come back. Let me figure this out real quick, guys. If I come up with another one, I'll just add a bunch of different things. I save it. It's saved. Oh, and we're still on code 1. Oh, okay. I see what I did. So I was on code 1. But if I go on here and I add existing, I'm going to save it. Now I've come up with a new one. And now when I go back, don't save existing, it goes back. So what happened is I clicked on code 1, but I was already on code 1. What I did is I got rid of everything. So you want to not do that. So I'm going to come up with a slightly different one. If this isn't making sense, guys, please let me know. I'm going to save this. It's going to be a new code. I'm going to save the existing one, and I've just come up with a new one. And so I'm going to edit the name. It's going to be code 2, confirm, and they're all going to be saved on the right. So if I want to go back to my first code, it'll be there. If I want to go to my second code, so on and so forth. So it'll all be saved there, guys. So this is where we want you to sit here and use this as your template, as your canvas to come up with whatever code it is that you want to do. If you want to learn more, the more intricate coding, I definitely encourage you to keep going with these with the modules. But this is where you're going to go to come up with your codes and where you're going to be able to save them to come back to them later. It's all housed in this one app. If you have any questions, so that's what we want to dedicate the next 20 to 30 minutes or so, is for you to have this free time for you to go through some more of the modules. If you're having trouble, you can let us know. We can walk you through them, or to take a moment to sit here on this Create tab and try to come up with what you may want to showcase if you wanted to showcase tomorrow. And if you're having any trouble, take this moment to ask us and say, hey, I have this idea in my head. This is sort of what I want, but I'm not exactly getting the right blocks to make that happen. Can you please, give me some suggestions or some tips or help me out? We're happy to do that. But that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to give you this half hour for you to work on what you may want to showcase tomorrow. And we're going to be here available to you guys, but essentially, take this next 30 minutes to go ahead and work on that and ask us any questions if you want. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and work with Roman real quick to get this situation. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or type it in the chat, and I'll answer them. So, Roman, what I'm thinking is maybe if you hit the reset button. So on the back, there's a power button, but to the left of that, there's a black button that says reset. So try hitting that reset button and see if that does anything. And try holding it for maybe a few seconds. And if not, we'll definitely do some research here and see what it could be. Let's see. Let's see. I'm looking on some forums. Sherman, can you hear me now? Roman, check the batteries. Make sure none of them popped out. Make sure they're all still in there. I'm wondering if the batteries died. It would be so soon for the batteries to die, though. Hmm. Let me see if I can find some answers. So you did say that you had built it around the first day, Roman. Have you been using it consistently since then? Because everything that I see online says it could be the batteries. That the batteries may be running out of power. That seems to be what the consensus is. If you have any batteries around home, I mean, we did give you those 4 extra ones. If you can find another spare 2, try sliding those in and replacing the batteries and see if that does it. That's the only thing I could think of. Yeah, it might be the batteries. And so Sherman, can you, if you can hear us now, what I was going over is the on this Make Block app at the bottom there is this Create button. If you click the Create button, it's going to take you to this page where you're going to be able to create your own code for the showcase tomorrow. And so on here, you're able to create code. You can put different blocks together. You see that when we were doing the modules, you had a very limited amount of access to blocks. But on here, you have access to all the blocks. And so here, you're going to be able to come in here and put together a variety of things, whatever you see fit for your showcase, whatever represents you. You're going to be able to come up with your code. You're going to be able to save it, and then you can use it for the showcase tomorrow. And so what we wanted to do is give you this next 20 to 30 minutes for you to just hang out, play around with this, maybe come up with a code, or if you want to keep doing the modules, that's fine too. But to let you play around with it, and while we are here, in case you have any questions or you need any help or tips, you can ask us and we can walk you through. Certainly, if you have an idea of what you want to do and you're having trouble maybe realizing it and finding the blocks for it, we can try to help you out with that as well. But this is what we wanted to take this next 20 to 30 minutes to work, on our own or collaboratively if you wanted to work with somebody else that's also attending the academy. That's what we're dedicating this next 20 to 30 minutes to. Roman, just to confirm, Mr. Gilo, when his robot, when his batteries died on his Raider, it acted the same way. So it probably is the batteries they died. So let's try and get those replaced and see if that works. What I'm also going to be working on the overhead, guys, is I've already started taking apart one of the Raiders. We have two, but I'm going to go ahead and start building one of the other ones. Now, preferably you guys keep your Raider together until the showcase tomorrow. Then after this week, if you wanted to build one of the other versions, go right ahead. But I mean, that's what you'll see me working on the overhead. I'm going to finish taking it apart and maybe start building one of the other variants.
Just to keep in mind during this time, if you're wondering what you're supposed to be doing, like Mr. Acosta said, go ahead and move on to those other modules and start working on them. Should you have an issue with one of the modules, type it in the chat or unmute your mic and we'll walk through it with you, okay? But take this time right now to get more familiar with your robot and the coding process and move into the next modules. As far as naming the robot, Sherman,
You can name like the specific codes that you come up with, but as far as naming the robot, that's more of just what you come up with. That's what you refer to it as. There's nowhere specifically that you go input that. It's just what you've chosen to refer to your robot as. But you can name the specific codes, and that's just for organizational purposes. You organize those codes if you even have more than one, however you see fit.
just know that you need to also heed Dr. Flores' advice and not just name it robot. Please, get creative. It can be whatever you want it to be as long as it's appropriate and not robot. All right. Take this time to go through the modules. Yeah, there you go, Janet.
You can name it
Yeah.
whatever you want as long as it's appropriate, but you're gonna have to explain it. Maybe how did you come up with that name? Why did you choose Roberto, for example? What's significance? So just be prepared for that.
Again, let us know. Let us know if you need help with those next modules. I believe it was what, 7?
Yeah, I think
8,
we were moving
9,
into
and
6 or
10.
7. Yeah.
So try to move through 7 through 9 or 7 through 10 on those modules on the app, and let us know if you need help with it. Okay.
And there are they do get more complicated. So if you need tips or help, please let us know.
Yeah. No worries, Sherman. As long as you don't name your robot, I think you'll be fine. You know, come up with something creative. Like Dr. Flores mentioned, you won't get any points if you just name it Robot. And make sure that you also take a look at maybe what Janet has posted. You know, you can work on your puns or whatever you want to do. Mr. Acosta mentioned maybe naming it after one of the codes or something. You could do that. You also want to be working on modules 7 through 10 in the application, okay? Well, one of the posts she put was Roberto. And so she posted on Zoom. Just get creative with it. Get real creative with it. Make sure it's appropriate, the name. I'm very glad to hear that, Roman. That's fantastic. Yeah, so just note to everyone else that if your robot is making some beeping sounds and it starts to it doesn't move anymore and it starts to really slow down, you're going to want to replace the batteries. I think dependent upon how much you use it, for sure, is going to impact how long the batteries last. Like I said, mine lasted a long time, but I didn't really mess around with it too much. Just replace the batteries. That's okay, Zoe. If you have to go, that's fine. We're at the end anyway.
The only thing we want to say, Zoe, before you leave is that remember the showcase tomorrow. If you wanted to showcase it live tomorrow, that's all good. If you wanted to film a video tonight and email it to us so we can just flash it on the screen. And that happened some last Academy. Some people had some difficulties, and that's what we ended up doing. Just know that that's available to you. Film a video of whatever you code, explain it, talking to the screen, you know, what it is, how you came up with it, the story behind it, and you can send us that video and we'll showcase it. Other than that, do you have anything else that you think she needs to know? Okay.
No, I think that's it.
We'll see you tomorrow, Zoe. And I guess we can probably...
You too.
We can probably shut it down for everybody else, too. Yeah. We wanted to go ahead and slowly reiterate all of that stuff.
Let's go in and see if this works.
Yeah, let's do it.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna head off. We're gonna call it a little bit early. Continue to work on your modules if you haven't finished them. Send us an email if you have any questions regarding tomorrow's showcase. Again, you need to, if you're on the same device that you're coding on as the same device that you're viewing the live stream on, then send us a video or make a video tonight, however you want to do it, and make sure you send it to us. There's going to be a certain time frame tomorrow that we allow showcases to happen, and Dr. Flores was very adamant about this. Tomorrow, we're not going to have an infinite amount of time for people to make a decision as to whether they want to be a part of the showcase. Now, if you want to be, let us know right off the bat tomorrow, but don't wait till the last minute, because there's a certain amount of time that is set aside for the showcase, and there's a certain amount of time that's set for judging, which is what Dr. Flores will be doing. That's what he was explaining earlier. He's going to be in his office, he's going to judge them, and then come back with a decision.
And to expand on that, you know, everyone that wants to showcase, you're going to have an opportunity. Don't worry, you know, if you're already planning on it and you're thinking about it, you're going to have that time. It's not going to be, you know, we're not going to cut you off or anything. We're just saying anybody who's waiting till the last minute to decide, there isn't going to be like, does anyone want to go? And then we wait 5 minutes. You know, it's all, we want it to go smoothly. So, you know, really think about it and prepare tonight probably and be ready for tomorrow.
And we should have everyone's order in for the pizza celebration that we're going to have. That's going to be the first thing that we start off with tomorrow, and then we will move into the showcase, followed by the presentation of your virtual certificates, as well as the who came back and actually won the showcase, and that will determine what we end up giving out, which are some pretty cool prizes.
Yeah, some really cool prizes. I really encourage all of you guys to participate. It's going to be a judgment-free zone. You know, you express yourself however you see fit. It's really do something that speaks to you, you know, and well, we'd love to see whatever that is.
Yeah.
You know, don't be shy. Don't be like, what if they hate it? What if people don't like it? Don't even think about that. That's not going to be an issue. We'd love to see whatever.
And don't even worry about, will the live video, or will the video look good? Do the best you absolutely can, and that's all we could ever ask from you. If the camera quality isn't that great, if you're uncomfortable with the way it looks, just as long as you do the best you can and we can make out what you're doing and what
Yeah.
you're saying during the showcase, I think that will. Dr. Flores is going to be very. He's going to be very, I guess, attentive, and he'll know. He'll know if you put
Yeah.
put your
No points off for any of that stuff.
yeah. He'll know if you put your best into it.
Besides that, does anyone have any questions about any last minute questions about the showcase and what that's going to look like? What we expect, what you should do. If you're gonna make that video, you should send it to what email did we decide? Mr. Below.
So if you're going to record a video,
I'd say I don't think there's a set time limit. I'd say a good 3 to 5 minutes maybe, because you're gonna introduce yourself like, this is who I am. Then like, this is my robot. This is what I named it. This is the the code that I came up with is this. This is what it's trying to do, and then like, why did you come up with that code? And then actually showing us that code, and that is most of what should be in that video if you choose to submit a video.
don't make it like 15 minutes long, but make sure you get in that video what you named your robot. Tell us a little story about your robot. What Dr. Flores means about that is, what was some of the experiences you had building the robot? What did you take away from this? What did you learn about coding? What did you learn about the difference between programming and coding during those lessons that Miss Green and Dr. Flores talked about yesterday? What did you learn during the course of us talking about college? What did you learn about Dr. Flores' niece speaking about everything college and it related to financial aid this morning? Stuff like that. It doesn't have to be just a story about the robot, but you can relate it to maybe something in STEM that you want to do with your life.
As an example, during the June Academy, there was one student who, her story was just explaining how difficult this all was for her, building and the coding and the challenges that she, faced while doing it and how she overcame them.
Yeah.
And so that was her story. It was a phenomenal story. Just as an example, I'm not saying that's what you have to say, but it's really open-ended, what that story is. It's up to you.
Mm-hmm. And the video the video you send us will not be posted specifically on YouTube, but we are going to share it in our live stream here. So it will be part of our live stream that we have going on, but it won't be posted as an individual file or anything like that.
And if it ever is, we'd ask you for permission before we did that.
Yeah.
We would never do that without your permission.
Okay, I'm going to provide you my email address just because it's really easy to pull up my email while we're on this live stream on the computer in the esports lounge. So that is the email that you may send your videos to if you want to send a video. Now, if you want to share live, we actually kind of prefer that if you do it live rather than in a video format. But if you want to do it, and that's the only way you can do it, is via video because you're viewing the live stream and doing the coding on the same device, then go ahead and do the video. Do it that way. But if you can do it live, do it that way. We also, tomorrow during our celebration, we're going to have a gentleman from the Esports Lounge come and talk about this center, talk about what it has to offer. We're going to showcase it a little bit. We're going to walk around and show you what it looks like. We're going to dive deep into what each of the components are in this center. And it's pretty cool. I can't wait to show you all that.
It's gonna be a very fun, exciting day tomorrow, guys. Wrap up.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up.
Oh, actually, one last thing. If you're sending that video over email and for some reason maybe the video's too big and the email says it's having trouble, you probably won't have that issue, but if you do, just email us. We'll figure something out with you. We'll work with you.
Yeah. Does anyone have any more questions? Unmute your mic or type it in the chat. Otherwise, we are going to leave it off there today and be ready for the showcase tomorrow.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys tomorrow if no one has any questions.
Bye.
Bye, Roman.
You're exporting your code. Are you doing it through the app, Sherman? Or are you doing it on your computer? Everyone else, feel free. You can head out if you want. I'm just trying to answer Sherman's question. Oh, so you don't have to export anything onto the robot. There is a way, and it gets into the more advanced section if you're able to export it onto the robot. The way we're doing it right now is through the app. You can just save your code onto the app, and you can come back. And when you connect your robot, you can just go to that code and play it. It'll be there saved for you, and your robot will do it automatically. And so you don't have to export it necessarily right now. You just have to make sure you save it in the app. And you can save multiple if you wanted to show 2 codes tomorrow or something. Yeah, sure. We can move it over to the. I'll share my screen on my iPad real quick and show you. I'm going to share the screen. And so if you go to the block app, the app where you're going to do the code, you're going to go to the create down here. And so my robot's not actually connected. That's okay. I'm just going to delete every code and we'll start from scratch. And so I'll just come up with a new thing real quick. This is my code. Yours will be more intricate, more deliberate, more thought out, but just as an example, this is my code. And so if I wanted to name it, I'd go here. So edit project name. You're going to go to that highlighted square on the upper right. You're going to click on that and it's going to prompt you with this. So edit project name. So I'll just name it code 1. That's what I'm going to name this code. And so now it has been saved and it is called code 1. And if you notice under this list, if you go to the upper right, it'll give you a drop down menu, a list, I guess, better way of seeing it. And it has your code on there. And so if you ever come back and click on that code, it's going to take you to the code you saved. Now, if I go up here and click on that plus sign, it's going to take me to a blank canvas for me to come up with a new code, and I'll do that. And so just a 100% different code. I'm going to title this a different name, code 2. Confirm it has been saved. And now you see I have my second code saved under there. If I wanted to go back to that original code, I just click on code 1 and it brings up everything that I had saved under there. And so the way to save it is you can create a new code and then you just click on that second button from the right, this button. And once you enter in a name, it'll save that code for you to come back and see it. You can turn off your phone, you can turn off the app, close the app. If you come back to it, everything will be saved there. So as an example, I'll close it. I'll come back to the app. I'll go to create later, and all my codes are saved there. And so you can come back and edit them. You can come back just to remember them, or if you're saving it for tomorrow or something, that's how you save them. Does that make sense, Sherman? Yeah, because it would be a pain for you to create a code and then have to remember it and recreate it from memory. So the app gives you a means to save them. And I don't know if there's a limit to how many you can save, but I imagine it's got to be quite a bit that you can save.
I haven't seen a limit.
Yeah, I haven't seen a limit either. No worries, Sherman, and we'll see you tomorrow. I hope you participate in the showcase if you're inclined to. All right. You guys have a good rest of your day.